My name's Tiffany. I'm 37. My husband Joseph and I have been married for 15 years. We have two boys, aged 13 and 10. Joseph's family runs their own business, a house cleaning service started by his grandfather. All the employees there are kind-hearted. They even put on a full-on dance troupe performance at our wedding, showing some real dedication. The company's doing well, stable, and reputable. The founder, my grandfather-in-law, has since retired and is enjoying his days in a lovely retirement home. Joseph's dad, the second in command, passed away due to illness 2 years after we got married. Joseph is technically the third-generation president, but he's more like a site supervisor in his day-to-day. The ones calling the shots are my mother-in-law, Kimmy, and Joseph's sister, Donna. Kimmy's the vice president, and Donna's the executive director. The founder and my father-in-law always treated their employees with respect and trained them well. That's why the staff is competent and adept at handling any issues that arise. This stability is a testament to their hard work. Joseph is doing his best to follow in their footsteps, prioritizing his employees. But Kimmy and Donna, the vice president and executive director, just don't seem to get it. They lack that sense of genuinely valuing the staff. Joseph always says, "The company runs thanks to our employees." But all Kimmy and Donna do is scoff at him. 90% of Joseph's complaints about work are about them. I don't work for the family business. I have a job at the city hall, so I don't really understand much about the family company. I wish I could wield my status as the president's wife, confront the vice president and the executive director, and tell them off for their attitudes. But that's just not possible. Especially since Joseph is the president only in name, which means I don't have any real authority to speak of. The sad news came in winter. My father had passed away. We found out about his illness in the summer. He was hospitalized at the end of autumn for treatment, but he didn't make it to the new year. I returned to my family home with my son Daniel and the others. My husband would follow later, running behind. "Why isn't Dad coming with us?" "His work's swamped during winter. He'll come afterward, don't worry." His family's business is booked solid with cleaning jobs, yet he'd make it somehow. Said he'd find a way. The boys seemed anxious. It was their first funeral. My mother, she was the face of the funeral, worn and weary. I stood by her, a heartbroken daughter, planning the ceremony, waiting for my husband's arrival. I was hurting, anxious, in need of support myself. I tried to look away from the coffin holding my father as much as possible, keeping busy for caring for Mom and the boys. That's how I was coping. My husband arrived the night before the funeral, straight from work in his work clothes. He apologized the moment he stepped in. "Sorry I'm late." "No, it's all right. You must be tired. Thanks for making it during such a busy time."
"Can I pay my respects to your father?"
"Yes, this way." He closed his eyes, praying earnestly to my father. Seeing him, tears just wouldn't stop. It was a relief, too, I think. That made me cry out loud, despite my age. He wrapped his arms around me gently. Then came the funeral day. The presence of my husband calmed the boys down a bit. Mother was still visibly drained, but she held on till the end. After everything, one of the boys remarked, "Strange, Grandma and Aunt Donna didn't show up, did they?" "It's a busy season. Maybe they are working hard, so Dad could be here with us." We'd stay a few more days, but my husband had to return to work the next day. "Joseph, give my regards to Kimmy and Donna."
"Sure, but if they couldn't make it, they could have at least called me,"
he said, frustration clear in his voice. I agreed but kept silent, knowing well it was their peak season too. 3 days after my husband left, my sons and I also went back home. When I got home, I went over to my husband's family's place to say hello. I had to report that the funeral went without a hitch and to thank them for allowing my husband to attend during such a busy time. And of course, I brought a cake to the family office, but something seemed off when I arrived. Papers were scattered all over the desks. Empty takeout containers were overflowing from the trash can. And there, to my surprise, was a sleeping bag. A familiar one. It was our sleeping bag. "What's going on here?" I exclaimed in shock. Just then, my husband emerged from the bathroom, looking utterly exhausted, his hair a mess like a bird's nest.
"Ah, Tiffany, you're back. How's your mother doing?"
he asked wearily. "Yeah, I'm back. What happened here?" I questioned, puzzled.
Well, this...
He sighed deeply and slumped.
The employees had collected some money to buy a gift for your father,
he explained. What, really? They shouldn't have. Oh no, this cake is definitely not enough then. I realized, feeling a bit guilty.
But wait, there's more,
he continued, blinking slowly, his eyes heavy with fatigue.
With that money, Mom and Donna went on a trip, he revealed.
What? I was astounded and dropped the cake box, which hit my foot. But that wasn't even the main issue. As I wiped my foot, I asked, a trip with the money for the gift?
Yeah, when I got back from the funeral, the house was empty. I called them, worried, and they said, we're on a trip with some extra money we came into. Can you believe that? They called the money the employees had gathered extra income. I was dumbfounded. It's so inconsiderate, I couldn't believe it. I felt terrible for the employees and for your mother.
He looked so downcast that I stopped wiping my foot and started to rub his back instead. My foot was still dirty, but my husband seemed to be in a worse state.
They laughed it off when I told them to come back, saying I was making too much of the busy season. Sure, it's busy, but taking a trip with the money the employees collected and not even showing up at the funeral? I can't believe my own parents and sister are like that.
Yeah, I'm shocked too. But it's not your fault. Don't be so hard on yourself. Why is there a sleeping bag here, though? Have you been staying here? I inquired.
I had a lot of paperwork to do. There's always more during the busy season. And now with Mom and Donna gone, without finishing their work,
he trailed off. So that meant my husband hadn't had a break from work since the night before the funeral until today. I rushed my husband home. While he took a nap and returned, I was in charge of the office. Answering the phones and cleaning were within my wheelhouse. Cleaning the office, I felt my anger rising. I was too shocked to be angry when I first heard my husband's story. Kimmy and Donna had disregarded their own father. They scoffed at his advice, mocked the employees' feelings, and on top of that, they were careless and irresponsible at work. I couldn't forgive such a pileup of unpleasantness. Just because I'm the wife of a normal president doesn't mean I should step back. I'll give Kimmy and Donna a piece of my mind when they return. My husband looked better after some sleep at home. That was a relief. While I was updating him on the phone calls received during his absence, a taxi stopped in front of the office. Out stepped Kimmy and Donna. We're back. Oh, Tiffany, is the funeral over? We got the gift money. Here's a souvenir for you. I was taken aback by Kimmy's words. They got the gift money? Unaware of my grimace, Kimmy pushed the souvenir towel into my hands. Mom, hold this. Joseph, help Mom with the luggage. Donna was acting too normal. They had been on a trip, hadn't they? Taking the gift money? Abandoning work during the busy season? What are you thinking? A whole mess of insensitivity.
Mom, Donna, I told you to cut the trip short and come back. It's crazy to take a trip with the gift money.
What? Are we still talking about that? Kimmy twisted her face in displeasure. The money from our employees is originally the company's money, right? It returned to us from the employees. There's no problem using it. What? How does that make any sense?
The money wasn't given to you, Mom. It was collected for Tiffany's father by everyone.
Exactly. Huh? Tiffany's father has nothing to do with our company.
They all attended the wedding, so they know him.
Knowing him means they should take the company's money? That's like being parasites. They gallivant around with the benevolence of others and call people parasites? I can't stand it anymore. What do you mean by parasites? Huh? Are you mad? Why? Why? Well, look, Tiffany, that's our money, so it's up to us to decide whether to give it to someone else or not. Understand? Huh? Kimmy and Donna seem completely unapologetic. Their faces say they don't understand why I'm angry. I'm the one confused by what Kimmy and Donna are saying. More than a lack of appreciation for their employees, these two lack common sense. It's like talking to aliens. It sends chills down my spine, how they've managed to run a business up until now. What should I do? Is there nothing to be done? But I refuse to suffer in silence. As I ponder what to do, my husband takes a deep breath as if he's made up his mind and begins to speak.
Mom, Donna, I can't do this anymore. I can't trust you two. If I stay any closer, I fear I'll end up despising you, so I'm leaving the company.
What are you talking about? You can't do that. This company has been handed down through our family.
Our grandchild will take over, so you can't quit. Tiffany, you'd be troubled if Joseph quit his job, wouldn't you? Our child's future is already decided for them. If my children choose that path for themselves, that's fine, but I hate having it decided for them without their input. And my husband, it must be torture to continue working with someone you can't trust, especially if it's family. I can't say there aren't worries like, what will we do, or what about the income? But more than that, it's harder for both my husband and me to keep struggling here unnecessarily. No, it won't be a problem. My firm reply left Kimmy and Donna with their eyes wide open. They were surprised at our decision, but they didn't offer a single word of apology. It's infuriating, but it also gave me a sense of closure. I'll become the breadwinner instead of my husband. My husband, having left his family's company, started his own. Using the knowledge he had accumulated from years of work, he started a house cleaning business. The first year was tough, but his meticulous work and consistent effort paid off, and the business's reputation grew, leading to increased performance. By the second year, we had reservations nearly every day, and by the third year, we were hiring employees. By the fourth year of starting the business, my time as the main earner came to an end. Everything was going smoothly. Our children looked up to their father with respect. It was really good that we left my husband's family home. During that time, we received sad news. My grandfather-in-law had passed away. He died peacefully in his sleep in a nursing home, discovered by the staff. Since my husband's independence, we had been almost estranged from his family, but we couldn't ignore the funeral of the grandfather-in-law. It was his teaching to value your employment that made my husband the man he is today. We got ready and headed to the funeral. The funeral was full of familiar faces. Relatives, of course, neighbors, and employees of my husband's family company were there. Everyone knew we were almost estranged from my husband's family home. Being glanced at made us feel a bit uncomfortable. As we stood quietly on the sidelines, Kimmy spotted her husband and approached him. "Joseph, you're here. Have you said hello to Grandpa?" "Yeah, first thing when I arrived." "Tiffany's here too, I see." "Yes, it's been a while." Not wanting to mention that Kimmy didn't attend my father's funeral, I refrained from bringing it up and instead greeted her. "Did you bring a gift? Have you given it yet?" "Yeah, I did. Hopefully Mom and Donna won't think about spending the gift money on another trip, right?" "Let's not talk about that now." Kimmy said that firmly and then whispered to her husband. "By the way, how's work going? If you're making enough, could you lend some to Mom and the others?" "Huh? Are the funeral expenses high?" "That's part of it, but could you just lend us $10,000 for now?" $10,000? I can't just come up with that kind of money on the spot. What a letdown. I thought I could count on you. She snapped and stormed off. The boys were in shock. Understandably so. Being confronted with such a demand would startle anyone, let alone a child. We decided to take them to the grocery store outside to distract them, where we ran into Kevin, a longtime employee at my husband's family company. "Joseph, long time no see. Thank you for coming to Grandfather's funeral." After exchanging greetings with Kevin, the conversation continued. "Man, ever since you left, our company has been struggling. The young folks keep quitting, leaving only us old-timers. Really, I hope it's not because of something Mom and Donna did. No. It's more to do with the revised pay scale and bonus cuts. Those two seem to lack a sense in business management." Kevin chuckled weakly. "Well, it's the same folks who think it's fine to spend the employees' salaries, essentially our money, however they like." "Ever since the business started going downhill, the vice president and the manager have become harsher. They used to be different, but now they snap over the smallest things. Just between us, everyone's saying it's better to leave such a company. That's rough." Their conversation seemed like it could go on forever. I settled the bill with the boys and decided to head back to the funeral before my husband. Exiting the grocery store, I saw two of them still deep in conversation inside. My husband finally returned just before the funeral service was about to begin. "I was worried you wouldn't make it in time." "Sorry, there was a lot to catch up on. Listen, Tiffany, there's something I want to talk to you about." Just as he was about to start, the funeral began. It wasn't the right time for a heart-to-heart. He whispered, "Later," with a look of determination. The service went by without a hitch. The empty feeling that follows a funeral never gets easier.
no matter how many times you go through it. The boys seemed just as melancholic, sticking close by me, not wanting to stray.
Tiffany, what about what I was trying to say earlier?
Oh yeah, what about that?
I'm thinking of hiring more employees.
Really? That's great. Means the business is doing well.
Yeah, so I'm considering moving to a bigger office. I'll be buying more equipment too, which might mean my income will temporarily decrease.
Are you planning to expand that quickly? Isn't it a bit too rushed? Even if you hire more staff, it takes more time to learn the ropes. Seems a bit reckless to me. It was an unusually assertive move for my husband. He's usually far from reckless. What's gotten into him?
No need for training. In fact, I'll be the one learning from them.
What?
Remember the person I was talking to at the grocery store? They're going to transfer to our company. And while we were talking, some other employees joined in. 5 of them are coming to work with us,
he said excitedly. No way.
It's true. Look over there.
He pointed, and there were Kimmy and Donna, chatting with a group of 5. Kimmy stood with her mouth hanging open, looking dumbfounded. Donna had twisted her face into something devilish. I whispered to my husband, "Are they discussing the same thing over there?"
Yeah. Said she'd yell and wouldn't have a proper conversation in public, so they'd talk right after the funeral.
Wow. I looked again at the group. Sure enough, they were familiar faces. The ones who had recreated the dance perfectly, unforgettable. They were going to join my husband's company, the main force behind his family's business. The stability would be on a whole new level. Unconsciously, a smile crept on my face. Donna, eagle-eyed, caught my loosened expression and glared at me with the eyes of a murderer. What's so funny, you thief? Taking our brother away from us? And now our employees too? What grudge do you have against us to do this, you devil? I couldn't comprehend why Donna screamed that. As my eyes widened, Kimmy's face lit up. Oh my, it's you again. Of course, it has to be you. Otherwise, why would these people say they're leaving our company? You must have said something to them. We'll sue for damages. What? I don't recall doing any such thing. Stunned, my husband spoke up on my behalf to Kimmy and her cohorts.
Mom, Donna, enough is enough. Tiffany has nothing to do with this. Those 5 left the company because their salaries were cut due to poor management.
What are you talking about? Suggesting poor management? How rude.
We're discussing why everyone is resigning. It's partly because of the terrible way Mom and Donna treat their employees. They fly off the handle based on their mood. It's impossible to have a conversation. And I've heard they threaten pay cuts if anyone disagrees with them.
What? We've never done that. There were still relatives and neighbors at the funeral. Kimmy panicked at the mention of poor management and intimidation. But panicking now was useless, because it was the truth.
I heard they were planning to leave, so I asked if they'd join my company. I couldn't stand to leave Grandpa and Dad's cherished employees in such a terrible workplace. The job offers at my place were all my idea. Tiffany wasn't involved.
That's impossible. It's definitely her fault. That woman is to blame.
Stop making her out to be the villain. Deep down, you know the truth. The villains are Mom and Donna.
As my husband said this, Donna jumped up in frustration. Kimmy collapsed to her knees. It seemed that her hopes of extorting money from me had been dashed. Kimmy, unable to give up, resorted to a tearful plea. You ingrate! You don't care if Grandpa's company goes under. Don't you feel sorry for Mom? But my husband stated firmly, I'm sure Grandpa would hate to see his employees crushed more than the company failing. Dad would feel the same. The determined look he had before the funeral began was a sign of his resolve to protect the employees, even if it meant ruining the family business. People who were talking with Kimmy and Donna came over to my husband. They lined up behind him, straightening their spines and looking squarely at Kimmy and Donna. Their glazes were filled with determination. It was heartening, and I felt a sense of responsibility. For these people and for my grandfather-in-law and father-in-law, I was determined to support the company until it was back on track. That's what I decided in my heart. Afterwards, my husband's income took a hit. It was inevitable after suddenly adding 5 people. But these weren't novices. They were seasoned veterans, reliable and battle-hardened. With these immediate assets, my husband's company grew rapidly. 6 months after hiring the 5, my husband's income was back. And hearing the rumors, employees and former employees of my husband's family's business began to flock to him.
Now my husband's company boasts 3 stores. On the other hand, his family's business closed down. Kim and Donna just didn't have the knack for management. They took their seats for granted, never bothered to learn, and were quite reckless with money. When my husband, who had been their restraint, left the company, the management quickly deteriorated. 3 years after his departure, the business was beyond saving. The resignation of a key employee dealt the final blow, and the business was driven to closure. There was significant debt, but that was somehow managed by selling off the family company building and assets. Kimmy and Donna now rent a small apartment together and make ends meet with part-time jobs. It seems they finally realized that a paycheck isn't something that comes from owning a company. My husband's company is planning to open its 4th store. He's expanding the business smoothly. It seems that the sense for business that Kimmy and Donna lacked, my husband had all along. When I mentioned this, he humbly said, "It's not me. It's all thanks to the employees." I reflected on that. I almost forgot what's truly important. Speaking of reflection, I still regret exposing our sons to that ugly scene at the funeral. However, they remember their father's impressive demeanor more than the petty adult quarrels. They hope to work with Dad in the future. If that's what my children desire of their own volition, I want to support them. I'd be happy if the company my husband started continues to thrive through the 2nd and 3rd generations. Can I help out Dad's company during spring break? Sure, after you start high school. My husband smiled with a mix of joy and embarrassment.